How's it going, YouTube? My name is Elvin Ninja 7, your resident Mistweaver monk, and I recently posted a video about all of my first impressions in everything the War Within Mistweaver that I have been able to test so far in the beta. But one thing that a couple of you guys noticed was missing from the video was my talk about Essence Font and Mastery. Basically, the whole Mastery rework. So for those that don't know, Essence Font and not just the button, but the effect itself was totally removed from the game. Essence Font, from what I understand, since it's been released, has been very hit or miss in its power and in terms of how the player base receives it, but it would double your mastery procs. And your mastery is just a spot heal that some of your spells would apply, but also very notably, Chi-Ji would apply mastery procs whenever you kick up stuff. And it still does, but if you have Essence Font on whoever those mastery procs hit, it would hit twice. So with them removing Essence Font from the game, some people were worried that Chi-Ji would just, inherently lose the potential to come back in raid meta. I don't know. Some people were very worried about that, but instead they've really spaced out when your mastery procs, can hit from what I've been testing. So instead of having if you were to play Chi-Ji in raid, for instance, you would have these big explosive double mastery procking moments with Essence Font on everyone. Then you pop Chi-Ji, you go to town, but now they've introduced Crane style to kind of take the place of that. And it's a really cool talent. Your Rising Sun Kick will now kick up 2 mastery procs every time, even outside of Chi-Ji. It does this, so very cool talent. And then also your Spinning Crane Kicks and Blackout Kicks have a chance to kick up 1 mastery proc. Now, from my testing, I don't know the number that, the chance exactly, but from my testing, I tested for a long time. It landed somewhere. Some tests, it would land around a third of the time I would get this to proc. Some tests, I would get this to land about half the time to proc. I have no idea, though, what the actual chances of that procking, but all in all, yeah, like I said, they've just basically overhauled how the mastery procs, what procs it, etc., etc. Also, Jade Fire Stomp used to, the reason why I mentioned that the Essence Font effect was also removed, Jade Fire Stomp would also leave that hot on people so that they'd have the effect of mastery procs doubling if they're hit by mastery procs, but instead now Jade Fire just straight shoots a mastery proc at everyone that it hits. So yeah, they've moved around what procs mastery and stuff. So in today's video, we're going to be trying out Resplendent Mists, which gives our mastery procs a chance to do 2.5 times the healing, or 1.5 times more healing. I'm also I got a lot of feedback during my video that maybe I should give this hero talent tree a second look. Now, I never said that it was underpowered or bad. I only said it was boring and that the procs were very easy to miss because they don't really make a big audio cue. Like Najal makes an audio cue, you guys will hear it, but Zwin does not. So to compensate for that, I've made a weak aura. Hopefully we can get it to proc, but I've made a weak aura, a giant one, whenever Zwin procs, and then I'll know to cast an enveloping mist to get Najal to come help us out. So then I can, not miss these triggers and we can see the true strength of it. But we also very notably got our details meters up. So I'm going to go ahead and join a group. And I guess I can do this while we look for a group. But while we wait, I have stacked as much mastery as I possibly could. I don't have all the perfect gear to do so, but I have every gear or piece of gear that has mastery on it equipped, even 2 trinkets that literally this one just gives mastery. So yeah, I'm doing my best to stack mastery to see just how much this mastery rework did for us. Now I'm going to turn my game sound back on, but I do want to point out that this is not a perfect test. This won't give us the most, inconclusive or conclusive data. However, once we compare the mastery healing to something like Ancient Teachings at the end of this dungeon, we can kind of see where it lands now that we're stacking mastery. So we're going to be trying to Rising Sun Kick, obviously, as much as possible. I also want to play around the Najal and Zwin procs as much as I can, because I want those to do big healing, big damage to see just how powerful they really are. And then I have this trinket equipped. I'm just going to go ahead and use it. But also our new cooldown, I'm going to be pressing it a lot more. I've made a weak aura for it. You see there, once we get that proc, that means that Zwin just swiped. And we can press an enveloping mist to give ourselves a shield. But let's go ahead and pop Chi-Ji just to get more mastery procs going. because that is when the big juicer phase is going to be, because that's when our mastery procs are going to absolutely smack. Because, you know, Chi-Ji still kicks up all these mastery procs. Also, we need to shoot Feline Stomp through our allies to get all these mastery procs. And so far, our healing's pretty good. It's nothing like exceptional, but I don't think this pack that we were just pulling was anything crazy. But we can look so far. Most of our healing was the shield, actually, that Najal put on. And then second was Celestial Conduit, our new button. And then third was actually Mastery, which is, that's actually pretty shocking to me. But once we get into some of these pulls that are a bit more scary and a lot more just damage like that comes in, I do think that we're going to see Mastery kind of shine there. But like I said, this is not going to be like, we're not going to learn from this video exactly what the, you know, if Mastery is best or whatnot, but we can kind of compare it to some of our other healing sources from pool to pool and in the overall, especially once we get to these bosses, and kind of draw from that and see. But so far, our healing is pretty good. From all the testing that I've done, sitting at around like 300k on these, like, you know, nothing packs is pretty good. There are some pools where I'd have to go up to like 600,000 or 700,000 HPS to survive and stuff. So we might get one of those juicer pools in. But for now, things are looking good. Ancient Teachings. One of the big things about our mastery is kind of like the opportunity cost of putting points into mastery. So basically, if you choose to get a ring with mastery, would it have been more worth it for you to just get a ring with crit instead? You know, like that's the opportunity cost kind of going mastery, is that your trade, it's a trade-off. You're trading mastery for other things. And that's why I think comparing it to our Ancient Teachings healing will be a good indicator of if Mastery is going to be worth it at all to stack in Mythic Plus. Because Ancient Teachings, if it's still our top healing source in most cases, then it's not a good look for Mastery. It's not a good look for Mastery, because then that's kind of telling me that if I were to just stat to get Ancient Teachings to heal even more by going crit and verse and even like haste, I guess, then yeah, all these points that I'm putting into Mastery are just not worth it. Or all these stats that I'm putting into Mastery are not worth it. Also, Spinning Crane Kick has a chance to proc Mastery, but it's very unlikely that no matter how much, or it's very likely that no matter how much Mastery you stack, you're just going to get more healing from the damage of Spinning Crane Kick instead of the Mastery procs that it actually kicks up. One thing that we can do is we can actually convert this one to overhealing. I think that actually might give us a little bit more data. But one thing to note with overhealing is that you're going to see a lot less Ancient Teachings overhealing, and you're going to see probably a lot of Gust of Mist overhealing, which is our Mastery procs. But a lot of people have been worried, or not worried, but wondering, hey, how good is Mastery now that they've kind of revamped it? And yeah, I wanted to save it for its own video because I just did not have a chance to fully test it. I didn't have enough gear that had Mastery on it yet. Let me see there. Refreshing Jade Wind, actually, our top source. Refreshing Jade Wind happens whenever I press Thunder Focus Tea, so that's interesting. Very weird top healing source. But I'm trying to not Spinning Crane Kick that much, even in pools this size. Because I want the most Mastery procs to be kicked up. I want a Rising Sun Kick more often. I don't want to be stuck in a Spinning Crane Kick channel. We just want as many Gust of Mist procs as possible. I'm trying to check the meters after every single pool, but it's hard to do so. We're just gonna face tank this, I guess. Take as much damage as possible. Try to stack on an ally, make them take some damage. Just make some healing have to be done. I'll tell you what though, it has been an absolute nightmare trying to get everything set up for the PTR. I don't know if I'm alone in this, but man, the PTR has been giving me a tough time. with like add-ons and stuff, getting details set up was a nightmare, but I'm glad I got it working, at least for this video, so we can really compare. So in our overhealing Jadefire Stomp, one thing to note too is that the mastery procs that Jadefire Stomp shoots through your allies go under the category of Gust of Mist. They don't go under the category of Jadefire Stomp. It's two separate healing sources. So if I were to Jadefire Stomp this guy, you would see one healing source for Jadefire Stomp, one healing source for Mastery. But I'm really trying to... How do I put this? I'm trying to give Mastery as much of a chance to shine as possible. So that's why you'll see me, instead of spinning Crane Kick on large pools like this one's gonna be, you'll see me do the single target rotation, trying to kick up as many Gusts of Mist as possible. But man, this dungeon is not really tuned well, if I'm being honest, in the beta. Can't really help that. But I mean, like, our healing is getting the job done. But once again, these beta dungeons, they're not super difficult, but you see people do take damage from random stuff sometimes. So you can have some pools kind of overwhelm you or you know, make you flex your healer muscles. But for the most part, none of them are that scary. They're not that big of a deal. However, we should still be able to see our healing sources show at the end. It's like we should still be able to see some Mastery procs and compare Mastery to Ancient Teachings. Oh, we have Manatee going too. Breath of Yulon, Yulon's Whisper. Yeah, Yulon's Whisper. I just equipped it for the stream the other day because they wanted to see it in action. It's really hard to make it find a place or a use in a Mythic Plus scenario. So I think if you do take Yulon's Whisper for some reason, it would have to be in Raid. I just don't think it's going to be that good in Mythic Plus. Let's pop Chi-Ji here, just to have used her, or him, it? What do you guys think? To have used them, I guess we can just be neutral. Alright. So we had Chi-Ji. We didn't really get much use from it during this fight. But we can still see where our Mastery procs land. I guess not. It's not showing me that segment. But so far, I mean, the healing seems fine. It's really good maintenance healing, your Mastery procs, because, like I said, you're constantly kicking up Gusts of Mists. However, so is Ancient Teaching. So is Awakened Jadefire. Like, these things that you're sacrificing more value from in order to get more Mastery value. It's just a trade-off. It's just a trade-off. But also, people were asking me, like, even if you don't stack Mastery, is it worth it to go Resplendent Mists? The talent that has a chance to give added benefits to your, or like boost your Mastery procs. And we can look at the talent tree right now, but the answer is no. It's basically almost never worth going Resplendent Mist, only because of what you have to give up. Like you see here, I gave up Rising Mist to take it and Secret Infusion, or you could argue you get rid of like Sheilun's Gift and just any of these routes to get rid of some talent and take Resplendent Mist instead. They're just not worth it. They're really just not worth it. And yeah, I could be getting more Mastery procs by doing things like Renewing Mist or things like that, but I think it's just more beneficial to sit here and try to fish for Rising Sunkick resets in order to get those Mastery procs going. But man, I'm just going to say it here. I hope Refreshing Jade Wind is good, especially in Raid. I love this spell, even when it's a passive. I love it. I might be alone in that, but I love Refreshing Jade Wind. Uh-oh. We're falling behind. This dungeon's also just a weird one to showcase it for, but y'all know me. I like to give an honest like review and an honest showcase of things. So if I were to nitpick and try to find the best dungeon, I don't think that's good. I don't think that's honest, really. Yeah, okay, the new spell, look, I'll say this. In my the first time that I tested the new spell, it was like, eh. it didn't really surprise me, but or it didn't really impress me, I should say. But I'll be honest, the more I test with the new spell, it's pretty dope. Celestial Conduit. It actually kind of cranks with big pools. I really do like it. And I will say, since this is kind of like my follow-up to my first impressions video, the roll snapping is really good. It feels really smooth, and just helps you engage in combat. And I think the more I'm practicing with it, the more I get used to it and kind of rely on it to get me into combat. Like, well, that's embarrassing. But I do think that it still has that one issue that I showed in my last video that really needs to be fixed. So yeah, by the way, if you haven't seen that video, I talk about literally every single new talent. I talk about both hero talent trees and my first impressions of them. So go check that out if you're curious, or if you just haven't had a chance to test anything on the beta servers. Yeah, because I talk about all of that and more. All of that and more. Let's see, I guess I can turn this to overall healing. Oh, let's get in the cart first. Overall healing. Healing done. Overall data. So far, ooh, okay, Gust of Mist is up there with Ancient Teachings. It's up there, still getting beaten. But one thing to note is I am not fully optimized for mastery. I don't have everything mastery on. I have everything that I could get in time for this video. But yeah, I don't have like 200% mastery. Only 110% mastery. But that is from having all gems be mastery gems. I don't even have the intellect gem. I have all mastery gems. Yeah, as much mastery as I could muster up. I do want to get more time on the beta, grinding these dungeons and get more and more gear, so that maybe I can eventually get even more mastery and try to push as high as I can, like up to 150 and such. But for now, this is the best we got. Let's crank that new button. Very nice. Uh-oh. Yeah, I also, I guess I can take this, like, downtime in the dungeon. I say as we literally just got back in the action. I can take this moment to kind of say, I think a lot of people mistook what I was saying in that last video. I do not think that Conduit of the Celestials is the weaker option. I actually think it's the stronger of the two. Reducing the cooldown of your Rising Suncake and Rising Mist, I think that is what we're going to be playing around in raiding with I think it's the Shayloon's Gift doing that. Also, these Najal procs where you just shield your whole party, I think is incredibly strong. I just was saying I think it's just a little bit lackluster in the visual department. That's literally all I was trying to get across. It just lacks that oomph that the other one has for me. Oh, I have it. Oops. Thought I dropped it. My bad. But yeah, I think it's incredibly strong. And I'm glad that glad that you guys convinced me to try it out again, because I've been really trying to optimize it in some of the dungeons that I've done today, and it really, I mean, it really is crazy. These shields are insane. They add up over a dungeon. You'll see in some of these pools, they're like my top source, which is crazy. Oh boy. You guys are probably noticing this, still not the best at these mechanics and these new bosses, but we're trying. We're gonna shoot our Chi Burst to get our Feline Stomp back. We have Chi-Ji up, which is cool. You can use Chi-Ji to really quickly stack up your instant Enveloping Mist to use the Najal proc quicker. So it's taking forever, and I know it's something I'm doing. I know there's some way that I could be making this take a lot less time. Oh god, it's just part of being in the beta for the first time. Alright, there you go. Dungeon done. Let's look at these final numbers, though. All right, let's get rid of this proc first. Let's see if we got anything from this little chest. Okay, let's look at the numbers. The overall healing. So healing done overall, you see, it wasn't that crazy. No one was really taking that much damage for most of the dungeon. But still, even with pushing a lot of verse out of the way, a lot of haste, a lot of crit out of the way. I mean, hell, I even took this one enchantment. I'll go ahead and show you. I took this one enchantment called Cursed Mastery, which sucks a lot of your crit to give you more mastery. Like I was sucking stats away to take more mastery. And even then, Gust of Mist was outshined. It was outshined. I was even trying to play around getting as many Gusts of Mist as possible. You see here, my Chi Gusts of Mist healing was a lot less because I just, once again, I don't think there were many scary phases in that dungeon. It's really hard to gain good information from these hero or these beta heroic dungeons. But our Chi Gusts of Mist were really low. Our other Gusts of Mist, though, was actually pretty solid. Pretty solid. I think if our Chi like in a normal dungeon, and like say I go into retail and I did like a plus 15 halls of infusion with this build, I think our Gust of Mist would have actually cranked. I think we would see a lot more Gust of Mist healing because I would have been playing around Chi a lot more often, and that Chi healing would have been struggling to compete with the damage coming in. But here we just were never under any stress really in this dungeon. But I'm just gonna say I don't think this is any conclusive data. I'm gonna continue testing this on stream and off stream, trying to give you guys as much information until the War Within hits live. But I will say, gathering from this with ancient teachings still healing more, and knowing that when I don't put a bunch of my stats in mastery, that ancient teachings just goes crazy on the healing meters. I think it's still going to be a lot. I don't think mastery is going to be our top stat in Mythic Plus. Like a lot of people have been asking if that's the case. I don't think so. Um, but yeah, once again, this is not conclusive. I'll keep trying to get more mastery gear so I can make like a part 2 to this with a different dungeon that gives us a little bit more trouble. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more beta content, let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see me test next. I would be more than happy to show you guys whatever you want to see. But guys, that's going to do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.